Cowboys, floating face parts, and menacing children are just a few of the characters that have tried to sell you Dairy Queen frozen treats. But how deep does the DQ mascot rabbit hole really go? One of the earliest Dairy Queen mascots was Curly the Clown, a somewhat creepy manifestation of ice cream cravings that existed, thankfully, for only a short time. The 7-foot-tall Curly the Clown appeared on neon signs in the late 1940s and early 1950s, at least a decade before the more famous fast food clown Ronald McDonald appeared. Curly is depicted as an animated clown in a red suit with a bright red nose, holding a curly Dairy Queen cone in one hand and a giant cup of soft serve in front of his body. While some of the Curly the Clown signs were stationary, others were made with motorized hands that could wave at passers-by. Today, there are thought to be just 3 original Curly the Clown signs left in existence, but some have been repurposed for other businesses. During a brief campaign to make Curly the official mascot of the restaurant, Curly the Clown in human form occasionally appeared at restaurant openings. Curly wasn't the only original clown to appear promoting DQ products, but he was definitely the most notable. After Curly the Clown, Dairy Queen rebranded with a new mascot, a child with dark hair, a thick coat with a fur collar, gloves, and holding a Dairy Queen soft serve cone. Unfortunately, the depiction was a stereotype of a person from the Inuit community, a character often referred to as the Eskimo baby, despite the term not being acceptable by most of the Inuit community. The signs began showing up during the 1950s, but some version of the character may have been seen even earlier than that. The cups and other materials have been out of use for a long time, but there are still a few signs left that feature the character. One, located in Grafton, Virginia, was repainted and restored in 2016. The owner went so far as to demolish the original building and move the sign to the rebuilt location in 2019. Dairy Queen Corporate doesn't support the continued use of these signs, but doesn't have the authority to have them removed. Maybe the most unnerving mascot, Little Miss Dairy Queen, first appeared in the 1960s as part of a marketing campaign to elicit a country fresh vibe. Little Miss Dairy Queen appears as a country milkmaid, with a blue dress and hat, blonde hair, and a white apron with the Dairy Queen logo on it. The whole idea was to give people the impression that Dairy Queen represented traditional ice cream making. Ironically, Dairy Queen's frozen desserts are actually not legally considered to be ice cream because the product does not contain enough milk fat. By 1962, Little Miss Dairy Queen was being installed like a weather vane on top of new stores, which were designed to look like barns and also appeared in newspaper ads. Little Miss Dairy Queen pageants were held at franchises across the country, but by the 1980s, Little Miss Dairy Queen was over. Still, as of 2019, some eagle-eyed fans could still spot Little Miss Dairy Queen on the top of some older Dairy Queen buildings. Many of the Dairy Queen favourites were not part of the original 1940s menu lineup. The Dilly Bar, for example, did not appear until 1955. It was created by a local DQ in Moorhead, Minnesota, and consists of signature Dairy Queen soft serve, formed into a round disc and coated with chocolate, almost like a Klondike bar served on a stick. Like the Blizzard though, it's hard to think of Dairy Queen without a Dilly Bar. This is probably why Dairy Queen worked hard to make Dilly the Dilly Bar mascot happen. While exact dates for Dilly are hazy, a rapper from the 1960s confirms it was available during the time period. Dilly appears to be an ice cream cowboy with a giant grinning head, 2 tasseled gloves, a bandana around his neck, cowboy attire from the waist down. There's a lot going on, but it's clear why this buck-toothed weirdo didn't last too long. The cowboy theme returned in the 70s when DQ introduced the DQ Kid, his lady Sweet Nell, and his eye-patched nemesis McDoom. The 60s were an odd time for Dairy Queen. They'd also adopted a weird little guy called Mr. Misty to promote their slushy drinks, who looked like a scribble of a star with a face. Today, he only exists as a faded memory on old DQ cups. Among the stranger DQ mascots are a disembodied pair of bright red floating lips with startling white teeth. The lips were appearing in commercials as early as the 1970s, when the animated mascot transformed into the red and white logo of Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen seemed to like the Lips, as they made a return in the 2000s, where they took on more autonomy. The Lips then appeared, courtesy of computer animation, alongside Dairy Queen treats, talking about them and acting as an official spokesperson and mascot for the company through 2006. Did it work?
What I wouldn't give for just one nostril.
In 2011, Time listed the Lips as one of the top 10 creepiest product mascots, pointing out the resemblance between the Dairy Queen's lips and the beginning of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. DQ's lips were also a little confusing when compared to Twizzler's Lips mascot, which made mouths happy, and Tang's Lips mascot, which at least bore some arms and legs. After not quite hitting the mark with its mascots, Dairy Queen decided to try a mascot that already had a well-known following. Starting in the early 1970s, Dairy Queen began to license cartoon character Dennis the Menace to be a mascot for the company. The comic first appeared in 1951, which meant it had a great following by the time Dairy Queen adopted this rascal as a mascot. Over the years, blonde-haired cartoon Dennis and his friends appeared on cups, packaging, toys, and in commercials. The company kept the never-aging Dennis the Menace as a mascot for 30 years, even through the much-panned Dennis the Menace movie, which came out in 1993. Dairy Queen cut ties with Dennis in 2002, as the company felt he was no longer relevant. Dairy Queen Soft Serve was developed in 1938, before the first Dairy Queen was even opened. With so many Dairy Queen original treat mascots, the company would eventually have to bring the product that made it all happen to the forefront. Dairy Queen adopted Curly Top Cone as the official Dairy Queen mascot sometime in the late 90s. By then, Dairy Queen was releasing plush toys of the vanilla cone with legs. Curly even occasionally appeared with other walking, talking friends that depicted other foods, like a hot dog and a Blizzard cup. Curly is the official mascot of the company today, and even gets its own job postings for people who want to walk around in a soft-serve cone suit. Is it a little strange to have an anthropomorphized soft-serve cone walking around asking you to eat its smaller siblings? Yes, but no stranger than any of the other Dairy Queen mascots.